Let's further discuss this now with Hind. He's a assistant professor of law at the Loyola University New Orleans College of Law. Thank you so much for being with us on the program, Professor. There are a lot of important issues that this plan doesn't address, including Israel's siege and blockade of Gaza and Palestinian statehood, which got overwhelming support at the UNGA. What are your thoughts on what's been presented?
Clearly, it's a slap in the face of international law and in the face of the Palestinian people as a whole. It entrenches the illegal occupation, the unlawful occupation. It seems to be even converting somewhat into an American occupation or a U.S. occupation of the Gaza Strip, denying the fundamental rights of the Palestinian people, and in particular the fundamental right of self-determination. I think in many ways it's an attempt to deal with Israel and America's failure. It's almost a marketing ploy to buy them more time to regain some relevance and maybe even a false semblance of victory after the genocide. I think what's most important is that just recently the ICJ affirmed the illegality of this occupation. And with that decision, which was just an affirmation of a decision, the advisory opinion clearly stated that Israel must withdraw in its entirety from the occupied Palestinian territories, those territories occupied in 1967. That's the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, including East Jerusalem. This should be unconditional, right? Here, this plan only seems to create conditions on the possibility of withdrawal, and of course, not even a guarantee, and only within the Gaza Strip. It says that Israel will not, quote unquote, occupy or annex the Gaza Strip, but they say Israel doesn't occupy or annex the West Bank either. But clearly that has been the case regardless of whatever legislation is in place.
Right.
And there are a number of fundamental guarantees that this plan seems to make conditional, including the provision of humanitarian aid and access. This should be completely unconditional and removed from any plan, including this one.
One of the elements of this proposal is the disarmament of Hamas, and that's, of course, expected to be a point of contention given that the group has refused to lay down arms before. Given how dire the situation is on the ground, could we see a change in their approach this time around?
Oh, I'm not going to speak to the politics of it all. I'm more concerned with the legality of the plan as a whole and the concerns it have for the Palestinian the people. The conditions that the plan includes are completely unacceptable to the Palestinian people who have been fighting for their rights for so long. And I think the provisions that are included within this plan, I'm not sure if this is the final plan, if it was the same. There's some news reports about whether or not the Arab and Islamic countries in particular have looked at a different version of the plan as opposed to what has been presented, and whether the Qataris had requested from the Americans not to publish the plan as it was because it was different from what they saw. Putting all that aside, it doesn't, at least as far as this one's concerned, I think also third states and international organizations should have been more careful for the Palestinian people for the reasons I've delineated, in particular the violations to the Palestinian people as a whole. The plan should be outright rejected. The Israelis must withdraw unconditionally. There must be the guarantees of humanitarian aid and access. And the states should have been more careful in their language in welcoming the plan. They should have outright rejected what seems to be not only provisions that are in violation of international law, but provisions inviting them as third states to also partake in the violations of international law by being part of this plan.
Well, Trump's...
And sorry, there's one more thing I need to know.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, please. There's one more thing I need to note as far as the redevelopment, quote unquote, of Gaza, of the Gaza Strip. The primary responsibility for redevelopment should be on who created it, who created the mess in the first place. And as far as international law and the rule of state responsibility are concerned, Israel should be paying full dollar, as well as the Americans, for aiding and abetting this. And before there are any other willing donors that might be, and I'm sure there are many, other states that are implicated in or complicit in what has happened in this genocide that has happened in the Gaza Strip, such as, for example, Germany for its provision of arms to Israel, must pay as well before we start to talk about the possibility of willing donors.
Indeed. Well, Trump's proposal also came with a threat that he's repeated several times, that if Hamas doesn't agree, Israel will, quote unquote, finish the job. What does that mean for more than 2 million Palestinians in the enclave?
That's the thing. It doesn't consider the 2 million Palestinians. That's the whole point. It's almost like they don't exist. These threats have been made since the beginning of Trump's presidency, and every single time it seems like they can't do anything right, which they can't. Clearly, they can't do anything right. They come up with another, nice soundbite for Instagram and other social media, and really, unfortunately, the victims of all of this are, as usual, the Palestinian people, who are a resilient people.
Okay, Professor Hindi, thank you so much for being with us here on TR2 World and sharing that analysis with us. I appreciate it.